It's December 14th, 2012. About 7 days from the end of the world. And this is Kal Katster, running to you live from 7 days from the end of the world. And this particular day, I went to see The Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, the prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yes, I went to see that, and yes, the Lord of the Rings trilogy prequel. I guess I'll do a review of it. Well, since it just came out, I'm not going to give away anything. I reviewed the other ones online, and they were not. I didn't review them very much. I reviewed all the other trilogies and movies that came out, but I didn't really do them too much justice. I updated the blog with the review of them just now, but yeah, I didn't really go into it too much. I sort of had this, like, just sort of, oh yeah, by the way, there was a review when I'm reviewing this movie. The original Lord of the Rings trilogy was probably, by and large, as a trilogy, the winner for trilogy of the best fantasy trilogy of the last decade. Beat out only by Harry Potter, which made 8 movies. This is the best trilogy, so the Harry Potter saga being the best octology. Well, yeah, okay. But the Lord of the Rings saga, Peter Jackson led a workshop, proved that they could not only outdo Lucasfilm in New Zealand, but outdo the studios as well with New Line, and do a story adaptation of The Hobbit, based loosely on the cartoons, the original, the series, the Tolkien series. Tolkien is a contemporary, or was a contemporary of C.S. Lewis, who wrote The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe and the Narnia saga. Naturally, Disney got wind of how successful these movies were after the first 2, and wanted to make Narnia movies. Well, you know how that worked. It didn't work. Disney and ILM just didn't have the same thing. Of course, everybody's been copying them since. Even their Alice in Wonderland movie was like watching Narnia again. It's like, so it's like, no, they didn't get it, that the Lord of the Rings thing was really its own thing. And although the symbolism and the man fights nature and man fights the bad guy and all that stuff, the fantasy elements, you know, the wizard and the young man go out on the quest and all that stuff. You know, Star Wars fans went out and said, oh no, they're ripping on Star Wars. It was the other way around, dude. Lucas read Tolkien. He read a lot of things. He read Miyazaki's The Hidden Fortress as well, and borrowed from that. And some numerous samurai movies. But, and cowboy westerns. Yeah, the original Star Wars trilogy was classic, but it was not original. It was just classic. But Lord of the Rings is based in a sort of made-up mythos of the ancient England. The only thing that might have been a drawback for some of the purists of the Tolkien saga is that Peter Jackson used New Zealand as many of these places, which are clearly supposed to be England and France and Europe. You know, the whole idea, the Shire is basically Scotland, and the Moors, and Moria is the Moors, and you know, that kind of thing, the mountains and all that up there, and the dangerous mountains and all that. That's misty mountains and all. That's the edge of the Alps and stuff like that. So, in Europe, you know, and France is the bad guy place, and the elves are from part of like Rivendell and all that. It's probably the other side of like France and stuff like, or maybe Italy. So yeah, but New Zealand. But I was not a purist at that point, and I did not mind that they did that. The new movie, The Hobbit, is a prequel. It's based on the book, The Hobbit. They have a little bit of bookend with the characters being just before the events of The Lord of the Rings, with them going to have the party, and they have Bilbo and Frodo in it, as much older. And then jump back 60 years and they start the story. Gandalf shows up, and interestingly enough, they didn't CG him too much. So because it was a higher frame rate, Ian McKellen looked really old. I mean, much older than he did in the first one. So, you know, they did Glendale, they made her look younger. But, with CG. But they didn't do him. I forgot, or something. So, yeah, it's because they did this higher frame rate, so you could really tell the older actors look considerably older than they should have been. And even the elf guy. That was interesting. How did Elrond get older than he should have been? If he's immortal, he should look exactly the same. But yeah. But, yeah, so, they go on a quest. This time it's Bilbo Baggins goes on a quest, and they've got Gollum in it, and the ring in it, which isn't really in the book that I recall. I think you're actually supposed to encounter Gollum after the books, but Peter Jackson took some liberties there. I say, okay, fine, maybe in the movie version, he has to encounter it earlier. I would have added that. I would have put the Golem stuff in the final chapter of this new trilogy. I would have put it in the last one, the last movie, because that would make sense. But he didn't. But I'm okay with that because he messed around with the other one too. Some of the purists said, well, he didn't show the burning of the Shire. Yeah, that was kind of silly. And then having the other bad guy, you know, the end of the last one. That was the other movie. And, yeah, well, that was a little odd, but I guess they couldn't make it that downbeat and say, oh, well, they had to completely rebuild it. Yeah, that would have been kind of like, oh. After all of, you know, that was the end of the Return of the King. So maybe in this one they'll address, I don't know, Smaug the Dragon. It's apparently Benedict Cumberbatch playing the dragon. It's kind of funny. It's the guy from Star Trek. Or previously he was in Sherlock Holmes 2 as Moriarty. The non-IMAX version, but I will go to the IMAX version probably in a couple days and watch the other one. Maybe on the day of the end of the world, I will go to see the IMAX version of Lord of the Rings. I mean, the Hobbit, the new one. Yeah, and so I haven't given too much away. The film looks very pretty and stuff, and very bright because it wasn't the 3D one. And yeah, the frame rate made things look a little blurry and a little off. And what's hilarious is I'm in the end credits. It's funny. Well, not really. There's another Adam Brown in Australia. And he just happens to be in the credits. Which I thought was hilarious. I said, oh, there's me on screen. What a jolly good reaction. Oh, yes. I was in the movie. I was in The Hobbit. Yes. Of course. It's a long expected journey. And to be I noticed Universal wanted to get in on it, and Warner Brothers, and I think it was Warner Brothers wanted to get in on it, and so did MGM, which had come out of receivership as well. Which Mark's Cards saw the midnight show of in the IMAX theater, so he's already seen it. Yes, anyway, so yes, that exists.